So first and foremost, thank you again to Mark Tantara and um, for sponsoring this week's learning. The Refuah Shlema Yoni ben Avram Avinu should have a Refuah B'Sof Shar Kol Yisrael. I'm very excited today. We are up to Sicha Vav, and Sicha Vav is just mind-blowingly exciting. It's a fantastic Sicha in general, but I think I have an interesting twist and take on it that I've not seen elsewhere, and so I'm excited to share that one. But let's hit the Sicha on sort of the basic obvious level. He says, "Hayetzer hara doma kamo misha holech v'ratz bein b'nei adam." The Yetzer hara is like somebody who is going and running among people. V'yado segura, and its hand is closed. Ve'ein adam yodea ma b'sofo. So nobody knows what the Yetzer hara is holding. V'hu mirama b'nei adam, and it's tricking people. V'shoel v'chol echad ma ani ochet, and it asks each one of them, "Do you know what I'm holding? Do you know what I'm holding?" And to each and every person that the Yetzer hara encounters, he makes it as if he's holding in his hand the thing that they want. So everybody runs after the Yetzer hara to try and get the thing that they want that he's holding in his hand. Because each and every person thinks that the Yetzer hara is holding exactly what it is that they need, what they want. And afterward, each person gets there and chases after the Yetzer hara, and the Yetzer hara opens his hand, and there's nothing there. Likewise, the Yetzer hara itself tricks the entire world. Everyone is running after the Yetzer hara. And the Yetzer hara tricks everybody so that it seems to each and every person that the Yetzer hara is holding exactly what it is that they desire. Each and every person, according to their own foolishness and their own desires and their own cravings and their own sense of what it is that they need, the Yetzer hara appears as if it provides the answer to those things. It has those things to offer. But afterwards, the sof at the end, eventually the Yetzer hara opens his hand when you finally get there and you get the thing that you were looking for, and you reach the Yetzer hara, you open its hand, and there's nothing there. Because nobody can have their taivas filled by the Yetzer hara. No one gets satisfied. And likewise, another mashal for the same concept, the Yetzer hara is like, we could say that the taivos of a person, the taivos of this world, the desires and the cravings and the yearnings and the needs of this world are like light that is entering into the windows of a house. And it looks to our eyes, it looks like the rays of light are creating like pillars in the house, right? When the sunlight hits the window at the right angle, you see sort of a ray of light that creates like a band of light within the house that you can actually see. And everyone goes and they run and they try to grab this ray of light, because you can see the ray of light, you can see this defined ray of light, and you try to grab it, and you grab, but you never catch anything because your hand goes right through the light and you come away with nothing. That's what all of the taivas of Olam Hazeh are. So that's Sicha Vav. I think, the obvious element of what he's saying, I think, is sort of the idea that, of course, we've talked about this in other places as well, that this is the entire nature of the Yetzer hara. This is the entire nature of Avera, of sin, of mistake, of being drawn after things that are keneged the Ratzon Hashem, that are against what it is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be doing and wants for us at any given moment, given our circumstances. Right? Each person sort of goes around thinking to themselves, and this is the sort of the pathology of an avera. The pathology of sin is that we go around thinking to ourselves that the way that things are right now, if I follow the rules, if I fulfill the Ratzon Hashem, then things won't be okay. Right? Given the reality of my world that I'm in now, and we mentioned this a couple of days ago, given the eagle that I'm in now, given the parameters and the context that I find myself in, if I follow the Ratzon Hashem, if I do what I am supposed to do, if I respond to and connect to the Borei Olam by fulfilling mitzvos, then I'm going to be missing something. I'm missing out on something. In the context that I am right now, I'm tired and my bed is comfortable and it's cold. So if I get up and daven or whatever else it happens to be, then I'll be tired and I'll be miserable and I'll be cold and I'll be uncomfortable, and that's not good. So what do? I don't do that thing. I don't do the thing I'm supposed to do, or I do the thing I'm not supposed to do, because I think that if I do what I should do or don't do what I shouldn't do, given the reality in which I find myself in, things are not going to be okay. And so in this sense, right, the Yetzer Hara comes as the thing that will make things okay, the things that will satisfy me under these circumstances. And it dangles it in front of me and says, here it is, here it is. If you just follow me, you'll get it. And like the Pied Piper, we follow the Yetzer Hara along. But ultimately, it's not fulfilling, it's not satisfying, because the thing we end up engaging in can't possibly satisfy us and can't possibly make us whole, because it's something that is connected the Ratzon Hashem, rather consistent and aligned with the Ratzon Hashem. And if good reality is defined by the expression and the manifestation of the Ratzon Hashem within this world, then the only positive and fulfilling experience can be by leaning into that Ratzon, rather than misaligning myself with that Ratzon. Misaligning myself with that Ratzon, like the Leshem explains in many places, it by default brings me pain. That the punishment the punishment that we suffer for Avera, we usually think of it as punishment, right? As I did something bad and now I have to be punished. But the Leshem points out, based on Gemaras, it's not just him, but based on Gemaras, he says that the consequences, the negative consequences of punishments we experience for when we do a sin, when we act out of alignment with the Ratzon Hashem, that's just the natural consequence of living out of alignment with truth. It's like, it's like whenever it's raining outside, but I insist on not carrying an umbrella because I know better. Right? So I'm going to get wet. I'm not being punished for not carrying an umbrella. No one cares whether I'm carrying the umbrella or not carrying an umbrella. But the reality and framework and makeup of the world and existence is that when you go outside and it's raining and you don't carry an umbrella, which is the thing you should do when it's raining in order to not be wet, you're going to get wet and you're going to get cold, and that's just what's going to happen. And so, on a certain level, Rabbi Nachman here is framing the experience and the pathology of the Yetzer Hara in a similar way, that it's carrying, it convinces us that it has the thing we need. It will solve our problems, and we chase after it. But of course, it can't actually solve our problems because the thing it's selling is not of substance. But I want to take this in a slightly different direction also, which I think is incredibly valuable. I think, at least to me, it's valuable. Because I think we also have to understand in this context that, first and foremost, not all references, we can't, the Yetzer Hara is not just this negative trickster, right? The Rabbi Nachman here is describing the Yetzer Hara as this devious trickster who's trying to sell us a false bill of goods, a snake oil salesman trying to sell us a fake cures for things. And on one level, that makes good sense. But on another level, we know that the Yetzer Hara is not all bad in this way, right? The Medrash very famously tells, the Medrash in Parshas Bereshit says, "V'nei tov ma'od ze Yetzer Hara," that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at the world after it's fully created and says, "Zeh tov ma'od," and the Medrash says, "That's the Yetzer Hara," and the Medrash says, "What do you mean that's the Yetzer Hara?" Well, the Medrash says, of course that's the Yetzer Hara. Tov is Yetzer Tov, and tov ma'od, very good, is Yetzer Hara. Very, because without Yetzer Hara, we would not do anything. We wouldn't build houses, and we wouldn't get married, and we wouldn't have children. We would never do anything. We also know, based on the famous Gemara, that Barasi Torah Tavlim, that there's a relationship between the Yetzer Hara and Torah. The two work together in a certain sense, right? Torah enhances the Yetzer Hara, can take it in a positive direction. It doesn't extinguish the Yetzer Hara, it doesn't destroy the Yetzer Hara, but it utilizes the Yetzer Hara in a proper way. So I think based on this, we might say we could say that the Yitzhara, what Rabbi Nachman is saying here, the Yitzhara is really the thing that is sort of showing to us or demonstrating to us or dangling in front of us the idea that there's substance to the things we see. The Yitzhara causes us to seek something, right? I didn't want anything before, but the Yitzhara comes along and you close with a closed hand and says, "Don't you want what's in my hand?" And it knows the right way based on who I am and where I come from and what my circumstances are, et cetera, to know exactly how to get me and sort of say, "Oh, now I want what's in your hand." Before a minute ago, I was fine. But now suddenly there's something that I don't have. Whatever is in your hand is in your hand, not in my hand, and I want it. And what happens then? Rabbi Nachman says, then we chase. We run after the Yitzhar, we chase after the Yitzhar. The Yitzhar is dangling his hand in front of us, and we're going after that hand because we're suddenly convinced by the Yitzhar that there's something I don't have, that now I need. And so the Yitzhar generates shuka, it generates a shtokkus, it generates yearning, it generates taiva, it generates a sense of chisaron, a sense of lack and a sense of deficiency, that there's something out there that I don't have yet. I didn't know it existed a moment ago, but now there's something out there I don't have yet, and I want it, and I'm going to chase after it. And then, of course, when I get there, what happens? There's nothing there. You're not satisfied. I'm not satisfied by whatever it was or wasn't in your hand. And in a certain sense, while this can be very negative, if it leads me to negative things, if the Yetzirah draws me after negative things, like the Medrash says, the very, very same Yetzirah and the very same teshuka and ratzon and taiva and yearning and sense of lack that the Yetzirah generates, can also take me in a very, very positive direction, like the Medrash says. Right? Why is it that I build a house? Well, something in me convinces me that I'm missing something. The place I find myself is not good enough. The house that I find myself in is not good enough. So I go and I build a new house. And that'll solve my problems. Now, in a certain sense, that's very valuable because without that, the new house wouldn't have ever gotten built. And if we take that on a macro level, then nothing would ever happen in all of the universe and all of society. Everything is prompted by a sense of, on a micro level, there's a sense of need, and it generates collectively on a macro level great advancements and great achievements. And we wouldn't have a development of the Gashmias of Olam Hazeh without this Yetzirah pushing us to develop. But it's much more than that, I think, because the very nature of what's going on here is that this is what pulls me medarga ledarga. This is what pulls me through levels of avoda. This is what pulls me to actually grow and to actually be active. We want a world in which the world is fully developed. Or on a spiritual level, we want a world in which all of the mitzvos to kedusha that are present within the Olam HaGashmi are drawn out and revealed. We can't reveal them if the Olam HaGashmi is not fully developed. Now, it's impossible to reveal the mitzvos to kedusha in the internet if the internet is not invented, so to speak. It's impossible to reveal the mitzvos to kedusha within printing if printing is not invented, or within anything else. Right? This follows a little bit on what he said at the end of the Sicha Hey yesterday, about how all the developments that take place within wisdom and philosophy and science and technology, et cetera, they're all coming from very high places. So we could never be malo all these things if they're not being developed. And the only way to develop them is to generate a tshuka, is to generate a desire, a yearning, which comes from a sense of lack. And that sense of lack is created by this Yetzirah suddenly dangling his hand in front of my face, saying, "Don't you want what's here? You don't have it. And don't you want it because you don't have it? So that means you want it. And now I suddenly want it. And now I start moving forward." And even more importantly, what's even more important is that when I finally build that house, I'm not satisfied. When I finally build that house, the Yetzirah opens their hand and the thing that I wanted isn't really there. I get to the house and it actually doesn't fully do it for me. There's something else maybe I need the backyard redone. Maybe I need the walls repainted. Maybe I want neighbors and I want other houses around me. There's other things that I want. If the hand was full, if when the hand opens up, I found what I wanted, so then I stop. And I just sit in that house and nothing ever further happens. It has to be the case that the Yetzirah is dangling an empty hand in front of me, because it's only through the empty hand that I move from one level to the next level to the next level, feeling both accomplished and dissatisfied each time I accomplish something. I caught up with the Yitzhara, the hand opens, I got the thing that I wanted, but the thing that I wanted turns out to not be the thing that I wanted. Why is it not the thing that I wanted? Because the thing that I really want is dvekus with the Ein Sof. That's what I'm missing. As a bore, as a neshama in a guf, what I'm missing is a sense of yichud, of the absolute oneness of the Ein Sof. Now that's impossible. That's all the way up there. That's by definition infinite and inaccessible. But the only way to get to infinite and inaccessible, and we talked about this all the way back in Sicha Aleph in connection to Tachlis Hayediyah Shalom Neda, the only way to get to infinite and inaccessible is to take another step towards infinite and inaccessible. I can't get it by staying here, but if I think I'm never going to get it, then I just don't bother trying. So you have to keep dangling that hand in front of me that I'm going to accomplish something, which generates in me a tshuka that I want to get it because I don't have it, which then I finally get it and I realize, yeah, that wasn't really what I was looking for. Let me keep looking. And you dangle another hand in front of me and I go on to the next level and the next level and the next level. And the truth is, Barasi Torah, Barasi Yetzirah, Barasi Torah Kavlin, this applies to Ruchnius as well. This applies to spirituality as well. We do a mitzvah, we do an avoda, we learn something. Why are we doing it? We're doing it ultimately, mitoch shelo lishma bo lishma, typically, and by and large, the Minor Rebbe talks about this, his hakdama to Nesigmut Sosecha. We do it ultimately and typically at the starting point, and Rabbi Nachman talked about this earlier also in connection to Yiras Onesh, that typically we're doing it for ulterior motives. We're doing it because it's going to give me something good. I'll avoid the punishment. I'll get the reward. It's Avas Asar and Yiras Onesh. That's why I'm doing this thing. What's the value of that? That's the Yitzhara dangling a toy in front of me, and suddenly I open my hand and there's nothing really there, because that's not really what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for to avoid onesh or to get star. What I was really looking for was dveikus and connection and fulfillment and so on and so forth. So what do? I learn another daf gemara. I do another mitzvah. I keep going. The same thing that applies in Gashmias is applying here in Ruchnius. That the Yitzhara functioning in the same way. That through Torah, by directing the Yitzhara in a positive direction through Torah, if I use this yearning generated by the Yitzhara, the game that the Yitzhara is playing with me, it can make me grow exponentially in Torah. If I use it in negative ways and chase after things that don't have substance and things that are prohibited and things that take me away from connection with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, of course, it can have negative consequences. But ultimately, the Yitzhara itself, per se, is a neutral factor. It's a pathology. It's a sense of, here, I have something, now you want it, chase me for it, get it, find that you didn't get what you wanted, and keep the chase going so that you keep moving forward and never sit down, and never sit on your laurels and just stop because you have achieved shleimus. Because the worst thing in the world is to think that you've achieved shleimus, because that has to be the biggest deception of all. The deception of the Yitzhara is very minor, and in fact, it's truth. Chase the thing and it's never really there. That's exactly correct. I'm chasing the thing and it's never really there. And it's only when I think that it's there and I actually think that I've gotten it that I find myself in a really, really dangerous place, because now I'm no longer connecting with the Ein Sof. I'm connecting with things of my own construction. Okay, very good. Have a wonderful day. Sicha Zayin tomorrow, Be'ezras Hashem.